These mistakes are keeping you stuck in rivals and you need to fix them. First one is player switching. Player switching is the biggest skill gap on FC25. And if you don't master player switching, you will keep conceding silly goals. Remember, guys, every one of you who is stuck in rivals is making these mistakes. How do I know that? Because I have coached so many FC25 players who have told me that they are stuck in a specific division, and almost all of them have been making these 5 mistakes. So back to player switching. There are 2 ways to player switch. One is the right stick and the other is the L1 LB player switching. You need to use both of these mechanics. Most of the times, however, you want to use your right stick. And now I know what you are thinking. Right stick switching is hard. And I know that. That's why I want you to go in the controller settings and put the right stick switching sensitivity to 3. Once you have done that, come here in kickoff. And if you have 2 controllers, connect 2 of the controllers, give the ball to the attacking team and practice your right stick switching. Once you feel that, okay, now you're able to switch to the player you want to switch to with the right stick, then you are good to go. But remember, knowing how to right stick switch is one thing, but doing it effectively in game is another thing. See how we are consistently able to trap our opponent by using our right stick player switching, which then allows us to consistently win the ball back. It is the core fundamental of a strong defense. We are going to use the right stick to cut passing lanes and cover runs. And we are going to use the L1 LB button when we want to apply direct pressure on the ball carrier. Just remember this rule. When you have to switch further away from the ball, use the right stick. And when you want to switch closer to the ball, use the L1. But don't keep spamming L1 in hopes to get to the correct player. What happens is when you keep spamming the L1 LB button, the ball has already reached in a dangerous position. And now by the time you switch to the defender, the attacker is already gone. We want to be 1 to 2 steps ahead of the opponent when we are defending. That is why you must master right stick switching. Second mistake is pulling players out of their position. Positioning is the most important aspect of defending. And the number of FC25 players that I have seen who are just running around holding the R2 RT sprint button with their defenders is just ridiculous. The AI in this game will shift towards the empty space whenever you pull a player out of position. So what happens when you pull, let's say, your left back out of position? Your LCB will start to fill in for that left back position, and your defense will start to shift in one direction, and the gaps will be opened in your defense. This is the last thing that you want. Hence, you must use your right stick switching to consistently switch to your defenders and keep them in their position. Make sure that the gap between your CMs and CBs isn't huge, and the gap between your left back and the center back isn't huge, and vice versa. Remember, guys, don't overlap your CMs. Your LCM must play as an LCM. You cannot take your LCM and run over towards the RCM side. In these clips, you can see a structured defense. And whenever I have a structured defense, I don't concede many goals. It is when that structure is broken, we start to concede many goals. These are habits that you guys have built and habits that you need to change. And the third mistake, the most common one, is holding R2 button like a madman. I often say this, when you are holding the sprint button, you are not having a ball contact. And if I will keep running like this, like a stupid guy, it will be very easier for a half decent opponent with 2 brain cells to get the ball back from me. This is why, guys, you do not sprint. Yes, 90% of the time you do not sprint, so you can do a skill move, so you can do a dribble, so you can do a quick pass. If I hold R2 on the first touch and there is a defender next to me, I am losing that ball, which is why you need to let go of that R2 button. See how we are building up. We are effectively using our left stick without the R2 button. This allows us to make the short passes and without having a heavier touch on the ball. Now we are able to keep the ball in our feet. The moment we get to our strikers is the moment we are going to use the R2 button with the speed boost, because we have space in front of us. If you don't have space in front of you, don't run, because when you will run, it will be easier to get the ball back from you. And this silly mistake is killing your attack and it is killing your defense. Please let go of that R2 button unless you have ample of space in front of you. This is a subconscious habit that you have built over playing this game for many years, and you consistently hold the R2 button without any conscious thought. It is muscle memory, and it is time that you change this muscle memory. The fourth mistake that you guys make is playing out from the back. In this game, passing is hard. I know that. Even I lose the ball silly when building up from the back and end up conceding easy goals, like you can see for an instance. But guys, we need to fix that. How? By focusing. Okay, the focus is the first thing. And remembering the rules of passing. The first rule of passing is to always pass the ball in the direction you are facing. R1X, RBA driven passes in this game are really good. In this game, the switching of the sides isn't really good, which is why you have to have the composure. Okay, in FC25, when playing out from the back, composure is the king. We need to stay calm and composed. We are going to look at our radar and then look at the player the opponent is controlling. Once we know which player is he controlling and what is he thinking, we will do the opposite thing. But never will we panic, because you guys have low composure, and if you have low composure, you are consistently panicking. The moment someone applies pressure on you, you are gone and you lose the ball so easily. This is why you need to keep a tempo during the build up. Remember to build up in triangles and use the player lock during the build up. The thing I do most of the time is I would use a player lock with my right back, call my right mid shot, and do an R1X pass to them, and then try to get one-on-one with the fullback and try to beat him with a speed boost. This is one of many things you can do, but the worst thing you can do is to panic. Please don't panic. The fifth mistake that you're making, and it is killing your attack, is a bad first touch. A bad first touch will kill the best of attacks on FC25. As you can see in these clips, the biggest thing that I am doing correctly is having a good first touch. In order to have a good first touch, the first thing we have to do is, of course, let go of the dreaded R2 button on the first touch until and unless we are through on goal and we have a lot of space in front of us. Then we are going to look at the opponent's defender. How is he approaching us? The moment we see that, we can see how is he moving. When we see he is going in one direction, we are going to point our left stick on the first touch in the other direction. We determine the first touch on the ball by using our left stick. Okay, so you will always point the left stick towards the empty space, or in a way where you can exploit a skill move or a speed boost. In this game, see how am I setting up the first touch. I'm doing a first touch in this specific direction, so I can immediately accelerate with the speed boost. If, let's say, I took a bad first touch towards the defender, this goal would never happen. And sometimes you have to be on the lookout for the opportunities. Here I see I have a tap in, so I go with that tap in on the first touch. If you can master the first touch techniques, your game will go to the next level. Fix these 5 mistakes and your game will go to the next level.